Good morning, students. So today we are going to explain a new lesson, that is system of particles and rotational motion. Okay. So generally bodies are classified into two types according to their strength. One is a rigid body and second one is non-rigid bodies. So a rigid body having definite shape and unchanged shape, if any external forces are acting on that body, the distance between any two particles cannot change. Such type of bodies are said to be rigid bodies. Okay? A rigid body is having definite shape, unchanged shape. The distance between the particles will not change when we are applying some external force on the body. Such type of bodies are said to be rigid bodies. Generally, huge iron rods are said to be rigid bodies. Okay, even we are applying some external force, the particles between the distance between two particles will not change. Okay, so second one is non-rigid bodies. Non-rigid bodies means it doesn't have definite shape. When we are applying some external force on the body, the distance between the particles will change. The shape of the body also change. Such type of bodies are said to be non-rigid bodies. Okay, when we are applying some external force on the body, the shape of the body will change. The distance between any two particles will change. Such type of bodies are said to be non-rigid bodies. Generally, we are using small. Chalk piece is a non-rigid body. Okay, small particles are having non-rigid bodies. Okay, so the rigid body having three types of motion. One is a translatory motion, rotatory motion, as well as and rolling motion. Okay, so the rigid body consisting. The rigid body will move in three types of motion. Okay, translatory motion, rotational motion, and a rolling motion. Okay, so now first of all explain translatory motion. What is called a translatory motion? If a body moves at the instant of time, all the particles of the body having same velocity, same linear velocity, such type of motion is called as translatory motion. Where the body is moving along one direction, along x direction, whatever it may be. So the particles are having same velocity, same linear velocity. Such type of motion is called as translatory motion. The motion is said to be translatory motion. In the translatory motion, all particles are having the same velocity. Let us consider one example. If you take one inclined plane, a body is sliding on the inclined plane. What happened? The body consisting so many particles. When the body is sliding on the inclined plane, all the particles are having same velocity, same linear velocity. So this type of motion is said to be translatory motion. And second one is rotational motion, rotatory motion or rotational motion. When the object is rotating through an axis, through a fixed axis. So when the object is rotating in a fixed axis, all the particle centers are lying at one axis. Okay. So that is called, the axis is said to be rotatory axis. When the body is rotating within a rotatory axis in circular path, such type of motion is called as rotational motion. Okay. When the body is rotating with a rotational axis, with an axis in circular path, so the type of motion is called as rotatory motion. Rotatory motion. So the axis, the rotatory axis, sometimes it is visible, so that is called a real axis. Sometimes it will not be visible. So okay, imaginary axis, that is said to be imaginary axis. In the case of top, The top is rotating with its nail. The nail is appearing. The nail is a real axis. The top is rotating around in circular path. The nail is a rotatory axis. The fan is rotating with a rod. The rod is a real axis. It's rotating with a rod in circular path. Okay. So sometimes it is a imaginary axis. The moon is rotating around the earth. So the connecting between the moon and earth, the axis will not appear. That is called as imaginary axis. What I am saying, students? So when the body is rotating with an axis in circular path, such type of motion is called as rotatory motion. The axis is sometimes it is visible. It is the imaginary axis, real axis. It is visible. It is called as real axis. It is not visible. It is called as imaginary axis. Okay. Next one is rolling motion. In rolling motion, the body passes translatory motion and rotatory motion. It consists in rolling motion consisting two types of motion at a time. Translatory motion as well as rotational motion. The body passes translatory motion and rotatory motion. So that is called as rolling motion. So the moving car tires having rolling motion. The car tires are having translatory motion as well as rotational motion. So the moving car tires are having a rolling motion. Okay. So the rigid body consists in three types of motion. One is translatory motion, rotatory motion and rolling motion. Okay, students. So next one, center of mass. Center of mass, one of the important one. What is called center of mass? If you take a body, the whole mass of the body is the entire mass or whole mass of the body of the system is supposed to be concentrated at one point. The point is said to be center of mass. Just let us consider one object or body. The whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated at one point. The point is said to be center of mass. Okay. So let us consider some examples. If you take one ring, circular ring, the center of mass concentrated at the center of the ring. If you take a disc, so that if you take one disc, the center of mass concentrated at the center. Okay. If you take a triangle, the center of mass concentrated at the centroid of the triangle. If you take a square or rectangle, the center of mass is located at so the intersection of diagonal. The intersection of diagonal. Okay. If you take horseshoe magnet at the center of mass is located at the center. Sometimes the center of mass is located at the center having mass or not. Okay. So if you take one object, the total mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated at one point. The point is said to be center of mass. Okay. Next, the coordinate system of center of mass. First of all, we developed the equation for two particle system. Let us take one coordinate system. The coordinate system x and y. And that coordinate system we are taking two masses. One is m1 and the second one is m2. The center of mass of these two masses system C. So the distance xcm is the distance between the origin to center of mass, and x1 is the distance between origin to first mass. x2 is the distance between origin and second mass. The distance between these two, m1 and m2, is d. r1 is the distance from center of mass to m1 mass. R1. The distance between center of mass to m2 is r2. This is a R2. Okay. So let us consider one coordinate system xy. On that system, by taking two masses on x-axis m1 and m2, these two systems center of mass located at C. The distance between the center of mass and origin xcm. The distance between these two particles b. The distance from center of mass to first mass r1 and second mass r2. x1 is the distance from origin to first mass. The x2 is the distance from second mass. Okay. So the center of mass is near to the heavier mass. The center of mass is located near to the heavier mass. So the distance of center of mass is inversely proportional to the mass of the particles. Mass of the particles. Okay. So R is inversely proportional to M. M into R is equal to constant. The equation may be written as M into R is equal to constant. Here M1 R1 is equal to M2 R2. M2 R2. From figure, now let us consider two distances, two masses M1 and M2. The distance between the center of mass R1 for first mass, for second mass the distance is R2. M1 R1 is equal to M2 R2. From figure, what is called R1? So we want to find out the distance these two. R1. So R1 means, so this is xcm, this is x1. xcm minus x1. The total distance here to here, xcm, this is x1. So when we are subtract xcm minus x1, we will get R1 distance. xcm minus x1 and R2, we want to find out R2. R2 means this distance. So R2 means this is x2. The total x2 minus xcm. The total distance x2. You subtract xcm. You are getting R2 here. So R2 is equal to x2 minus xcm. Substitute these values. M1 into R1 means xcm minus x1 is equal to m2 into x2 minus xcm. Multiplying with m1. m1 xcm minus m1 x1 is equal to m2 x2 minus m2 xcm. So m1 xcm sending this side m2 term, m2 xcm. So m1 also sending this side, m1 x1 plus m2 x2. Here xcm having both in two terms. xcm as taken common, xcm common, m1 plus m2 is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2. So the equation may be written as xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 by m2 x2 by, so m1 plus m2. Okay. So now, so generally we are taking only two particles on x-axis. Now taking n particles for n particles. Okay. So xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus and so on mn xn for n particles divided by m1 plus m2 plus and so on mn. So the equation may be written as xcm is equal to sigma mi xi, where I is equal to 1 to n. If I is equal to 1, m1 x1. If I is equal to m2 x2. If I is equal to 9, up to we wrote m9 x9. So here divided by capital M. So m1 plus m2 plus capital M is equal to total mass of the body. So m1 plus m2 plus m3 and so on up to mn, total mass. So this is along x-axis, one dimension. If you take two dimension, x-axis and y-axis, we are taking two masses in two dimension. So YCM in two dimension, YCM is equal to m1 y1 plus m2 y2 plus and so on mn yn by capital M. So the equation also written as ICM is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n mi by capital M in 2 dimensions. In the case of 3 dimension, x, y, z, xcm, ycm, zcm, the axis. Zcm is equal to m1 z1 plus m2 z2 plus and so on mn zn by capital M. Capital M means m1 plus m2 plus m3 and so on mn. So this equation also written as ZCM is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n mi zi by capital M. So for two particles are taking on along x-axis, xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 by m1 plus m2. If you n particles are taking on x-axis, so the xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 and so on mn xn by capital M. So if we take two axes, 2 dimensions along x-axis and y-axis, so we are considering xcm and ycm. For if you are taking a 3 dimension, xcm, ycm and zcm. Okay. Thank you.